The scientific method is a way of knowing. You come up with a theory, you go collect some data, you test your hypothesis, and then you publish your conclusions. That's a way of knowing. And it's a good way. There are lots of other ways of knowing too. I mean, somebody might point to a religious way of knowing or any number of things. And so when I speak to indigenous ways of knowing, and there's a plural there, because it's not like one monolith or one simple way that people would go about it. Sometimes they're just very different processes that someone would use to make decisions and things like that. A native way of knowing or doing things in politics might be more consensus-based rather than simply democratic or something like that. An indigenous way of knowing in science might be very different. Just to give you an idea, this one's kind of interesting. There's an elder, she's actually from one of the First Nations right on the Minnesota-Ontario border. Her name is Nancy Jones. And one day she was saying, you can tell when the bear cubs are born because it happens every winter between the middle of February or middle of January and the end of February. It's a 6-week variable window, but you can tell the day they're born because the weather warms up, even though it's the middle of the winter and there's a fog. And she said, the fog is the breath of the bear, waking up the bear cubs. A scientific mind would say, okay, sounds like a bunch of bullcrap to me because show me the data set. Well, lo and behold, there have been a number of studies on bears by a variety of different organizations with cameras in bear dens, recording weather and all kinds of other things. And guess what? The bear cubs are born in a 6-week variable window between mid-January and the end of February. And they are born when there is a warm-up in the weather that is typically accompanied by a fog. Now, the scientist would probably say, well, it's probably has to do with this change in the weather, like a change in barometric pressure. Pressure is triggering a physiological response in the bears, and that's telling the bears it's time to give birth to your cubs, and that's the correlation. So I won't even argue with that, but here's my question. How did she know? How did she know? She did not know by, I got this cool theory, I'm going to go collect some data, I'm going to publish my findings. She had a different way of knowing, but the way of knowing was still valid, was still testable and verifiable by other ways of knowing. And Native people have all kinds of bodies of knowledge and ways of knowing that I think can point in some really different directions. We have a lot to learn. I do think like the scientific method is a good way to know. You can know a lot. It can do so much, but it can't always do everything. And when you look at like ancient Mayan civilizations, or if you just travel around the American Southwest, go to Chaco Canyon, places like that, there's some amazing structures. The longest continually inhabited buildings in the United States of America are at Hopi, Second Mesa. People have been living in the same buildings since the time of Columbus. We can't build a building around here that lasts for 40 years and then we need a new bonding bill, hit you up for some more taxes to go pay for it. Those folks knew something. Granted, it's a different climate, but it's still a multi-storied structures, you know, with lots of people and heavy use. They knew something, different way of knowing, different body of knowledge, still showing us something. And when you look at like the ecological footprint of an American with all of our sophisticated things, push a button, your house gets warmer. If all humans on planet Earth had the drain on the environment that an American has, you would need 4 Earths to sustain all of humanity. So it might be interesting, powerful, neat, remarkable, all these Western ways, but it's pretty obvious that they're not always sustainable. We can't only think about my comfort during my short lifetime. We got to think about our grandchildren's children's children and find a way to be healthy and comfortable enough and to provide for their future vitality. Western ways don't always accommodate that.